However, we cannot stop anybody here from filing or, or any citizen for that matter, for taking interest in an impeachment complaint. But as of today, again, 11:07, wala pa. Wala pa akong alam personally. I think sila din, wala pa rin silang naririnig.
Quadcom hearings and the good government hearings are not in any way related to impeachment. Although there are people who would have that opinion na yung lumalabas dito sa mga hearings ito would be a ground, that would be a separate thing. We have our different agenda for the different committees, and we are still pursuing these hearings in relation to our functions sa committee.
Kailangan po natin maintindihan na magkaiba po yung trabaho ng executive at saka legislative. If it's about the impeachment, possible impeachment complaint, it's entirely up to the House members, no, on how they would appreciate the merits of the possible impeachment complaints. Let's not, for me, yung position po ng President is just his personal take on that.
First question lang po, can you confirm also that you received a text message from President Marcos asking that lawmakers not file an impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte? Because earlier Congresswoman Geraldine Roman said the same na natanggap ng Chief of Staff niya. So can you just confirm that?
Ako, I personally did not receive any message. I don't know about my colleagues kung nakatanggap sila. Ako, wala akong natanggap.
Kayo po, Congressman Zia, Congressman Raj.
I don't think Malacanang has my number. So, no, wala po kami natanggap. Personally, wala akong natanggap na text.
Just to answer the question directly, I have not received the message po.
But since kinonfirm na rin po ni President Marcos yung message, what do you make out of that appeal to lawmakers na wag pong mag-file ng impeachment complaint? Siguro another way of reading it is not to entertain impeachment complaints that would be filed against the Vice President.
Go ahead.
Well, personal, that's his personal opinion, no? But again, ang pag tinatanong ako, it speaks about character of the president because he wants to put the interest of the country above self-interest. Remember, the allegations, I mean, the threat was actually directed against him and his wife and the current Speaker of the House. But despite that, he was being, the leader of the country and being practical about it. That according to him, since malapit ng Pasko, and I guess I'm not being a non-Christian, but the love is a universal message naman. I think the president is just so being practical and try to prioritize concerns of our country, which is basically the problem of yung ekonomiya, and kasi ang sinabi niya is it won't help any single Filipino. So that's how he appreciate yung possible na impeachment filing of impeachment complaint. I think he's just being a leader of the nation, like putting the interest of the country above personal interest. That's how I look at it.
Para naman sa akin, una, of course, we respect the opinion of the President and napakalaking bagay nung sinabi niya. However, we cannot stop anybody here from filing or or any citizen for that matter, for taking interest in an impeachment complaint. On my end, as of today, 11:07 a.m., wala pa akong naririnig, wala pa akong nababalitaan about any complaint. So, yun. Tingnan natin kung ganito kasi, pag merong nag-file, hindi naman namin pwedeng basta na lang upuan. So, tingnan na lang natin kung syempre pakikinggan din naman natin yung sasabihin ng presidente. But we'll also have to check kung ano man yung laman kung ano man yung ifa-file nila. But as of today, again, 11:07, wala pa. Wala pa akong alam personally. I think sila din, wala pa rin silang naririnig.
In addition to that na lang po siguro, just to say, I think we're all in agreement here. We listen and we respect the opinion of the President. Of course, he's coming from a different place po, no, as the executive. But we have to take note, the executive branch is different from the legislative branch. And we know naman from his statement, it's actually a plea. No, it's advice. He's not really trying to tell the legislative what to do. But given that we are the legislative and this is a constitutional mandate po, no, nasa constitution natin yung process of impeachment, I think we are duty-bound to not really entertain, but to hear out if there are any impeachment complaints filed. Although, tama po si Congresswoman Zamora, we have yet to hear of any impeachment complaint, but should it be filed, we have to give it due process in the sense that we'll hear it out, check the merits. But of course, given what the President has said, that might play into how we would appreciate the same. But I think it would be unfair to say that outright we will say no kasi trabaho po natin yun under the Constitution as part of the legislative branch.
So, sir, just Mr. Ma'am, just because President Marcos said that message, hindi ibig sabihin no na magi-slow down yung House of Representatives with its investigation on the Vice President as well as the past administration doon sa mga Quadcom hearings.
I think just to answer po, no, we have to make a distinction. Our Quadcom hearings and the good government hearings are not in any way related to impeachment. Although there are people who would have that opinion na yung lumalabas dito sa mga hearings ito would be a ground, that would be a separate thing. We have our different agenda for the different committees, and we are still pursuing these hearings in relation to our functions sa committee. It should not be taken that if the President made a statement about impeachment, that would in any way affect the functions of the committee. Separate naman po yun. But if, however, some people would find basis to file any complaint based on what they found there, then that's something that would be a separate procedure altogether po. No?
In addition to that, I think what we're doing at the Quadcom is really to strengthen our policies, no? Amend certain policies na medyo may mga loopholes when it comes to the auditing standards, no? How we can account public funds that are being spent, no? According to joint circular, kasi ngayon we're talking about the joint circular memorandum. So we're looking at that and to pass legislations. This is entirely in aid of legislation. So tama nga yung sinabi ni Kong Rog, this has nothing to do with a possible impeachment complaint. No? So kailangan ma-separate. We have to, the term is compartmentalize the issue.
Good morning, sirs and ma'am. Na-mention ni Secgen na we may not have enough time kasi sabi niya they need at least 10 session days to act on an impeachment complaint. Kung i-file ngayon, your thoughts on that, sir? So, pwede bang tanggapin? Paano po ba? Pwedeng tanggapin and then maybe next year na?
I think our Secretary General will be answering based on the House rules that they know. I don't know if you could speak on behalf of them. We are all neophytes here. This would be our first to entertain that. But if that is his opinion, then I think that should be... It has some weight naman po, no? But as for... On my part, personally, I'm not aware of the limitation. If I understand the rules right, it must be acted upon within 10 days. So pwede naman right after. But I could be mistaken. So baka doon po nanggagaling si Secretary General Velasco.
So, pwedeng next year na lang? Pwedeng next year na lang po?
Well, I think the Secretary General is speaking on the practicality of time. He wasn't really saying about the acceptance or receiving any complaint. So, kung 10 days siya, if that's according to the rules, how many days are left before we call for a break, no? 10 days. 9 session days. So, I guess the Secretary General is well informed about the rules. So, probably, the practicality of time, that would also be a problem. I guess it's a challenge.
Thank you. Bibian Gulia from ABS-CBN.
How are you taking the President's message, yung kanyang text message? Is it an order, a suggestion, and will you give it weight when you are faced with an impeachment?
Wala akong natanggap na text eh.
But may confirmation, no message sa House leaders.
No, of course, we're going to put weight. Bibigyan namin naman kukonsidera namin yung message niya. Una sa lahat, again, 11-12 na, wala pa rin kaming, wala talaga. Sa totoo lang. And kayo naman, nandito kayo araw-araw, wala pa rin, malalaman niyo yan kung meron na. Pero wala pa kaming natatanggap. So, wala. I mean, yes, ginagalang namin and binibigyan naming respeto and syempre, mag-weigh talaga yon pag dumating ang panahon na may mag-file ng impeachment complaint.
Just in addition to that lang po, no, I just want to categorize. I don't think order naman po yun. Kasi like we said, separate naman po yung executive and legislative. Pero ang kagandaan naman po with the government now, it's very open lines of communication. We've experienced that po kami sa legislative. Although our functions may not be executive, when we have comments, opinions, they're always open. The secretaries, the president, and all the way down the line, they're very open po for communicating with us. And I think that's what's happening now in the same way. I wouldn't call it a suggestion. Perhaps it's an advice, given his wisdom of what he sees in the situation. So, po. But I really don't think that is an order po, no? Because that's a different jurisdiction naman ng powers natin. Thank you.
Well, in addition to that, tama, re-echo yung statement po ng mga kasamahan ko dito. Of course, we would respect the position of the President and we value his guidance, no? Pero sabi nga, hindi yun ano eh, directive, no? It's an appeal actually, if you look at it. If it's an appeal. So that speaks about, again, the character of the President respecting the independence of the legislative. Because if it's done, directing the members or the leadership, that is in a way intervening, but the message was actually an appeal, requesting for a possible not to entertain, possibly not to entertain. Actually, the statement of the President was when he was interviewed. Ang sabi niya is it was a private message, and that was a plea, no? And that was a plea. So it only speaks about the President's respecting the independence of a co-equal branch.
Sir, regarding dun sa issue ng time constraint natin, kasi 9 session days na lang, tapos according to SecGen, 10 days kung sakaling mag-file yung to act on the impeachment complaint. All in all, sabi niya, doon sa prosesong yon 130 days. So, papasok na tayo by February ng election session. Pero, based on our observation on the previous impeachment, like for example, the impeachment case of former President Joseph Estrada, may isang mode na pwedeng i-shortcut siya. Now, what you need only is to get the 1/3 signature of the member of the House of Representatives in order to para mabuo yung tinatawag na article of impeachment. May we know kung sa leadership, sa majority, aside from the statement coming from the President, kung talagang may balak na i-impeach si Vice President, nasa agenda ba ng majority using the shortcut method?
Well, yung sa kay former President, but that's a direct action taken by the House previously. So ito kasi sinasabi nga namin, there's no advice. We don't actually discuss about impeachment, no. And parati ho namin sinasabi to, there's no official or there's no formal discussion or talks among the leadership, and even sa amin po, about a possible filing of the impeachment. Actually, ang naririnig po natin na may ready for filing yung kanilang complaint are yung mga ibang grupo po outside. But as far as the leadership is concerned, that is, to me, within 9 days, nung sinasabi ni SecGen, that cannot happen because it only possible if the House directly has taken action on the complaint, meaning if you have secured, I guess, a number of signatures of the House, that's the time that you can actually talk about impeachment directly in the plenary. So hindi ho mangyayari yun.
Well, again, we aren't in any discussion of any specific process na or method na gagamitin because as emphasized, wala namang nagfa-file pa.
But just to answer lang po yung question, I think because it's theoretical. There are the 3 modes po, no? And I think it would be correct to say that by the 3rd mode, if you're able to secure 1/3 signatures, it would go directly. So just to answer the question, if I understood it correctly, tama po, that would be a way siguro around the 10-day rule. However, as mentioned, it really would depend kasi practically speaking, wala pa pong nangyayari. Because you have to take note, it's not just magic po, yung 1/3 number of seekers, that's quite a lot, it's 100 plus. So kung meron man, there should be word about it right now, and unfortunately we don't. We've always been consistent when we say po na we haven't heard about impeachment, usually it's from the outside. Before it came from other camps, now we're hearing about complaints from private citizens, pero that's still outside pa po. So technically speaking, nothing has started, so we can't really speak about yung timeline po.
Good morning po, sir. Hingi lang po sana ng reaction doon sa sinabi ng some political analysts that the President will be seen as a weak leader if the impeachment for if VP Sara will not be subjected to impeachment po.
To answer po, no. Of course, everyone's entitled to their opinion, and that political analysts, if they believe impeachment is the only route to show strength, then we can't change that. But siguro po, ako personal opinion for this representation, impeachment is not the only avenue to exert kung ano man yung tama. As we've discussed prior, wala naman pong immunity ang Vice President. There are also possibilities for criminal accountability, criminal liability to be had through, yun nga po, and we've seen it. The PNP has filed cases, the DOJ, through the NBI started investigation. So it's not the only way to, exact accountability for those acts. But regarding impeachment po, that's a totally different matter also. And it would not come from the president. I don't know why it should reflect on the president, because the impeachment complaint should come from either a private citizen or that endorsed by the member of Congress. So if wala po mag-file, then how could that reflect po on the leadership of the executive? So I think that's just my comment for the expansion po siguro ng discussion ng political analyst na yun.
Actually, dadagdagan ko lang, no, kailangan po natin maintindihan na magkaiba po yung trabaho ng executive at saka legislative. If it's about the impeachment, possible impeachment complaint, it's entirely up to the House members, no, on how they would appreciate the merits of the possible impeachment complaints. Let's not, for me, yung position po ng President is just his personal take on that. And that should not be taken as something that maybe, as a gauge on how strong he is as a leader. I think he has so strong points naman eh. Kasi ang sinabi naman po niya doon, let's focus on nation building, let's focus on the problems. That's how he viewed that with the yung lens and yung access niya po, being the top executive official in the land. No? He's the #1 president. He's running the affairs of the government. When you talk about complaint of possible complaint ng impeachment, that is purely a legislative process na it's, again, depends on how the membership, individual members will look at the merits. No? Balikan ko lang po yung kaninang tanong ni ng ating kaibigan,
Billy,
boss.
sir. Billy.
I think choosing between the two, it's not really a matter of choice. Eh. It's actually I think it's proper, and it's how a official respect the rule of law. And the demands of these cases filed before the NBI should be squarely dealt with by the head of the office, meaning the Vice President herself. So it's not really a choice between which does she favor this the committee hearing of the Quadcom or the NBI. Both are important. And if we talk about transparency and accountability, it is demanded of her to put urgency on these two venues for her to really explain, and then maybe explain her side or her own position on the allegation that were thrown at her and her office, no. So ganun lang po, idadagdag ko lang po sa sinabi ni Kong Rog.
Sir, just a follow-up, sir. Are you in favor of impeachment versus President Sara? Maybe not now due to time's constraint, but next year. Next Congress, sir.
Are you in favor of impeachment?
Me?
Impeachment.
Ikaw daw, Congress.
Kayo sa lahat.
Wala pa naman pong hinahain na impeachment complaint. So I think it's preemptive na sumagot sa ganung mga katanungan. Kung meron na pong impeachment complaint, depende mo po sa substance, yung merits ng complaint na yon.
I think what's happened po kasi is people are equating yung impeachment to a political exercise. It's whether you are for or against the person. But I hope we don't forget the fact that impeachment is based on grounds. This is not on personality. It is about the facts that attend the facts and circumstances surrounding po an alleged violation. So we're talking about graft and corruption, betrayal of public trust, culpable violation of the Constitution. If wala pa pong basis, and rightly so, as mentioned by Congressman Adyong, kung wala pong inihain pa na complaint, how can we base po, no? How do we say na these are the facts are ready for impeachment? So we can't say we're for or against until we've seen po the complaint. Yun lang po.
Umani naman ito ng iba't ibang reaksyon mula sa ating mga netizens. Ayon kay Gabriel Bulos, ang lakas na ni VP Sara sa masang Pinoy. Hiyang-hiya naman ang masang Pinoy sa balak ninyong impeachment kay VP Sara. Pahayag naman ni Russell Katapang, no matter how hard they try to bring VP Sara down, they will never succeed because the majority of Filipinos support the Vice President. This is one thing they all should accept. At ito naman ang saloobin mula sa ating kababayan na si Kirex Casmando, a true leader doesn't bring separation, a true leader unites its people. Salute to you, sir, for not supporting the impeachment for VP Sara. Mga kababayan, feel free to comment below para maglabas ng saloobin sa balitang ito.